Some television characters light up the screen for a moment and are gone before we know it. Others linger in our minds long after the credits roll. But every now and then, there's a character whose potential radiates so strongly, you can't help but feel a quiet injustice when they're relegated to the sidelines. In Young Sheldon, a show spun out of the mega hit The Big Bang Theory, there are plenty of quirky personalities orbiting the boy genius. Yet, among them, one stands out, not because of their brilliance, but because of their untapped story. I'm talking about Tam Nguyen. Yes, Tam. Sheldon Cooper's first and only real childhood friend before he was replaced by particle accelerators and whiteboards. Tam appears throughout the earlier seasons of Young Sheldon, portrayed with subtle charm by Ryan Phuong. He's calm, grounded, kind, an anchor in Sheldon's socially chaotic world. But while the series centers around Sheldon's family, religious upbringing, and intellectual evolution, Tam gets sidelined, and it hurts. Let me be clear. This is not just a case of justice for the sidekick. Tam wasn't just some background character there to laugh at Sheldon's awkwardness. He was often the interpreter between Sheldon's hyper-intelligence and the rest of humanity. He introduced Sheldon to cafeteria politics, school dance etiquette, and human emotion, all foreign concepts to the young genius. Tam didn't just tolerate Sheldon. He understood him, and that made their friendship quietly beautiful. But here's the twist. If you watched The Big Bang Theory, you'll remember Sheldon had nothing good to say about Tam. In Season 12, Episode 4, The Tam Turbulence, an older Tam appears, played by Robert Wu, and we discover the two haven't spoken in decades. Sheldon is furious at him for abandoning him after high school. Tam, now a calm and successful father, is confused and hurt. It's one of those rare episodes when The Big Bang Theory peels back Sheldon's neuroses to show something tender underneath. And therein lies the heartbreak. There's a whole life in between these two portrayals of Tam, and we never got to see it. Imagine the spin-off possibilities. Imagine a series titled Tam. Set in the late 90s and early 2000s, it could follow a young Vietnamese-American man navigating college, identity, cultural expectations, and friendship fallout, all while trying to find where he belongs in a world that often demands assimilation at the cost of authenticity. It could blend the nostalgic charm of Fresh Off the Boat with the coming-of-age intelligence of The Wonder Years, and the emotional depth of Master of None. With Tam as the anchor, the show could explore themes young Sheldon only hinted at. What does it mean to be the best friend of a prodigy? What happens when you realize your path in life might not include the people you once thought it would? And most importantly, who is Tam without Sheldon? Let's be honest, Tam is rarely shown outside of the context of Sheldon's orbit. We meet his father once, we hear that he's Buddhist, and we catch glimpses of his cultural background, but it's never deeply explored. There's a quiet richness in Tam's character that just begs to be expanded. The immigrant story, the clash of generational expectations, the subtle discrimination he likely faced in Texas in the 90s. All of these threads are there, woven delicately into his quiet smiles and calm responses. There's one particular moment in Young Sheldon that haunts me. It's subtle. Sheldon is complaining about how no one understands him, as usual, and Tam simply nods. There's no grand emotional speech, no dramatic reveal. Just a friend listening. But for a character as loud as Sheldon, Tam's silence speaks volumes. He's used to being in the background, not just on the show, but possibly in life. And yet, that doesn't mean his story isn't worth telling. In fact, maybe that's what makes it even more worth telling. A Tam spin-off could also add rich diversity to the Chuck Lorre TV universe. Asian American stories are still rare in mainstream sitcoms, especially those that don't rely on tired stereotypes. Tam is neither the martial arts expert nor the math nerd. He's just a thoughtful, good-natured teenager trying to make sense of the world around him. Giving him a show would mean finally telling an Asian American story that isn't about being Asian American. It's about being human, with all the complexities that come with it. And selfishly, I just want to see what happened to him. How did Tam process the end of his friendship with Sheldon? Did he feel abandoned too, or did he move on without looking back? How did his upbringing shape his view of success, love, and family? Did he ever try to reconcile with Sheldon before that awkward reunion in The Big Bang Theory? Television thrives on what-ifs, and Tam Nguyen is one of the greatest what-ifs in recent memory. Of course, we probably won't get a Tam spin-off, not because it wouldn't be good, it would be phenomenal, but because Hollywood rarely bets on the quiet ones. Tam doesn't make a scene. He doesn't break things or set off fireworks. He doesn't shout his pain. He just shows up, day after day, being kind in a world that doesn't always reward kindness. That's hard to market in a world that wants punchlines and cliffhangers. But I'm still holding out hope. Maybe not a full series. Maybe just an episode. A short. A webisode. Something. Anything. Because I can't stop thinking about Tam. Because not every unsung character wants to be a hero. Some just want to be heard. And for Tam Nguyen, the quiet, loyal, underrated soul of young Sheldon, it's about time someone finally listened. Would you like me to format this as a blog post, pitch it for fan forums, or stylize it for a screenplay concept?